This episode is brought to you by San Pellegrino Ciao. A gift from Italy to your home. San Pellegrino Ciao is a flavored sparkling water made with real fruit juice, finished with a pinch of Sicilian salt for a perfectly balanced taste. So which flavor will you choose? Peach, lime, blood orange, cherry, or maybe the all-new limoncello? Crafted in Italy with 0 grams of added sugar. San Pellegrino Ciao. Buy it now.
Sunday morning. Well, we talked to her on Thursday, but we have so much to talk about. Claudia Tenney, a Ways and Means Committee and the Intelligence Committee. And, Claudia, tell us about what you want to talk about on Sunday morning.
Well, good morning, John. It's so great to be on, and it's fun to be on just in a few days later. But I have to tell you, one of the big things, and it's like a huge issue with a lot of my constituents, is this whole issue of fraud, abuse, and waste. And some of the bills we've been passing and some of the work that's being done by the president. And this past week, we finally passed a bill that had to deal with the fraud in student loan payments. And it was called the No Aid for Ghost Students Act. And it's sponsored by my friend Burgess Owens, wonderful congressman from Utah, Super Bowl winner, played for the Raiders. Unfortunately, he's not going to be running again, mostly because of redistricting. We're going to lose a wonderful member of the House, but he's been a terrific member, and he's on the Education Committee. And that's just one point. It's between student aid, Medicare, Medicaid. The fraud is just incredible. And you and I know as New Yorkers, part of the problem that creates all this fraud, John, is that the federal government matches programs that are in the state. And what the state does, instead of that money being directed into the programs that it was slated for and how we appropriate it, the state kind of, if they don't need the money, they don't go back and tell the federal government, we don't need this extra matching funds. They find a way to fill gaps in other programs that don't really match the mission of where the federal funding is going, which is why you've seen this enormous growth in New York's budget, $269 billion. When I left the state assembly, when I started in 2011, the budget was actually $130 billion. And it was under Governor Cuomo, and we actually filled a $10 billion budget deficit from the prior administration. So we have gone into the crazy world with what we spend, because remember, all that money that gets spent, we have to raise taxes. So we're right up there among the highest tax states in the country, and we have the highest Medicaid costs. We probably have, we're going to be approaching or probably equaling California with fraud, abuse, and waste, because there's a lack of management and oversight on the state side, and they just are happy with just continuing to take that federal money and fill those gaps. We're trying to find places where we can do that. I have a bill that actually makes sure that TANF, that's the temporary assistance to needy families, goes only to TANF and not goes to filling budget gaps. There's a lot of ways that we can try to move to try to combat some of this fraud that is coming across these federal programs that get into the state, whether it's Medicaid, SNAP, student aid, all these government contracts. We're really working on that. Vice President Vance is heading up this White House task force to eliminate that. So there's a lot going on. We're trying to get to these things. We're trying to bring the tax burden down. We're trying to, reduce our deficit. These are things we have to do, or we're going to be in unsustainable debt like some of these other countries in the past that have collapsed. And I think a few of who those were.
Yeah, Claudia, this Medicaid number is way out of whack. We talked about it one time between Florida and New York. Florida is 24 million people, and it's $25 million. What is it, Medicaid, right? Am I correct there?
Right.
In New York State has 19 million people, 19 and a half, and it's 125 billion. I can understand 10% more, 20% more. I can understand double. But 5 times?
Yeah, this is a program that was created to help the people who are truly needy, whether they're people that have fallen on hard times, people with special needs, senior citizens, others who can't provide for themselves, and we have turned this into a cottage industry. Everybody, just about everyone, finds a way to get into Medicaid. There's another issue on this too that's not just Medicaid, but there's also, I want to mention quickly the SNAP program, because I've been working with, a lot of my counties across upstate New York, and how SNAP dollars work is there's an error rate that is applied to different states. Well, some states apply that error rate on a county by county basis. So some counties do better than others. So they should be credited for that. But New York State has a very high error rate, among the highest in the country. They were at 16%. And all we've asked is that you reduce your error rate. But when I'm talking to my upstate counties, they're like, we don't have a 16% error rate, but we're getting applied that same standard that places like New York City or places like Buffalo and Erie County get applied. We want a fairer allocation of that. Say our error rate's only 1%. Well, we shouldn't be penalized with a higher error rate, which minimizes our ability to get SNAP to our truly needy people. So I know that's sort of an upstate downstate thing, but at the same time, why do we have this high error rate? The state should be working on oversight to eliminate that. That's among the many things we're working on, trying to find legislation, working with Dr. Oz and governors to try to figure out how we get around this Medicaid and SNAP issues, making sure, again, like I talked about with TANF, that the people who really need this money are getting it, and it's not being diverted into, slush funds that the governor and other agencies are using just to fill their gaps, for these programs that have no accountability. I mean, you remember the old days when we were in the state legislature, they used to go and say, where's all this money going? And they'd find, they'd go to the address and they'd open the door and it was a broom closet. We want to make sure that's not happening, but we know it's got to be happening because the money is just not explainable when you look at New York State and its expenditures compared to other states.
I agree. We want to help people. We don't want anybody to suffer. We want to help children. We want to help people, but we don't want fraud where people are just stealing the money. We don't want fraud where people are sending the money to Timbuktu or Africa or whatever. Common sense has to prevail. I hope the American people, the common sense Democrats, and there's a lot of them, and common sense independents, and there's a lot of them, that they get the pulse of what's going on and do the right thing for America. Let's not do, I'm trying to come up with a new statement. Let's not do what's good for lobbyists. Let's do what's good for America.
Yeah, exactly. And John, here's the issue. We as common sense Republicans and they're common sense Democrats, we're trying to make sure that those people get the funds, that the taxpayer money is being spent on people that we care about and things that are important, not being taken advantage of. But the minute you go to try to correct that problem, the Democrats say you don't care about poor people, you don't care about needy people, you don't care about veterans. Not true. We want to make sure those people are taken care of and not scam the taxpayers, because every time you say government money, that's the taxpayers. That's you and me. That's everyone that pays taxes. Gets their is getting built, and they shouldn't. We should have accountability for where our tax money is being spent. It's good policy. It's common sense, and we also have to protect wealth for all Americans. Whether you have $50, $100, $1 million in the bank, we need to make sure we protect that, and people are trying to grow their assets. It's why President Trump is trying to make prosperity in our market so everyone can benefit, regardless of where your status is. But the Democrat left, the hard left, keeps driving us into this race, gender, class warfare, which is not what it should be about. We're supposed to be unified under human rights and the opportunity for prosperity, for happiness. That's what our Constitution is about as we celebrate 250 years. That's where we need to go. We want everyone to be able to prosper and do it in their own way. And we shouldn't be envious of someone because they've been successful or they've worked hard to achieve something, and they may be hiring or providing opportunities for thousands of employees who, if you look at SpaceX, look at these people who have become super wealthy just because of the ingenuity and innovation of a genius like an Elon Musk. This is what it's all about to be American. Look at how all these, people are coming in for the World Cup in soccer and loving American ingenuity and uniqueness. I just get the biggest kick out of these foreign and European and other fans going to Buc-ee's, for example, and it's just really great, or barbecue places, and seeing what we do as Americans, to see Americans truly, innovative, thinking, fun. We're not how we're probably portrayed in the foreign press. It's a great country, and we have a lot of potential. We just have to kind of have, as you get, it all comes down to your thing there, John. It's common sense.
Yes, common sense.
It's just so important.
Claudia Tenney, we love you. Thank you so much for being so smart and helping the American people, helping America. And let's catch up again real soon.
Yeah, great talking to you. Thanks so much. Hope everyone has a great week. Thank you.